Hey everybody, how's it going today? In this video, I want to talk about a low-price stock that Ark Invest has been purchasing. I'm going to go over what they do, as well as show you why I think the long-term chart looks very favorable for a big move up. Now, if you're new to the channel, I like to find short-term and long-term trading and investing opportunities in typically lower-priced stocks. I like to find undervalued, underappreciated stocks with high growth potential and talk about all other things finance-related as well. If that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any future trading and investing ideas. And also, I am not a financial advisor, so please do all of your own research before buying any of these stocks. The name of this company is Aquabounty, and their story began in 1989 when Garth Fletcher and his research team at Memorial University of Newfoundland, Canada discovered they could use advanced molecular genetics to significantly increase the growth rate of Atlantic salmon, thereby shortening the time to marketable size. This is the foundation for the Aquadvantage technology. Then the company Aquabounty was founded in 1991, so they are almost 30 years old, and their driving force is the belief that modern genetics, along with technological advances in aquaculture production, can spur a radically more responsible and sustainable way of farming Atlantic salmon. Breakthroughs in modern bioscience have revitalized aquaculture, and Aquabounty is at the forefront of this revolution. Here is a short clip on how it all works.
These tanks contain the only genetically engineered animal in the world that's been deemed safe to eat, Atlantic salmon modified to grow faster.
Using new technology is an intelligent way to meet the global food security needs of the future.
Ron Stodish is Chief Technology Officer of Aquabounty, the company producing the genetically engineered, or GE, salmon.
We're going to run out of land and run out of water to do what we're continuing to do, unless we find a better way to do it.
They know it's feeding time, yeah? They're pretty happy.
It's a relatively small operation making big waves. 50 employees at 3 facilities in Canada and the U.S. Breeding, hatching, and growing the salmon, trademarked Aquadvantage. They hope to have it on the American market next year. It will be the final step in a long process that began in another part of Canada.
The story of genetically engineered salmon began nearly 3 decades ago here in Newfoundland, Canada, at Memorial University's Ocean Sciences Centre, one of the world's leading marine research labs.
In the 1980s, physiologist Garth Fletcher and his colleagues started reading about the first work being done to create a genetically modified mouse.
We said, well, if they can do that in mice, maybe we can do that in fish.
Fletcher came up with the idea of altering Atlantic salmon DNA to get the fish to grow more quickly.
Because behind every production system there's a accountant that says, are we making any money? Can we produce the fish faster? Can we turn the inventory over type idea?
A salmon's growth hormones are more active during certain times of the year. Fletcher thought, what if he could get the hormones to stay active all the time? He took DNA from a fish called an ocean pout, which produces a special protein all year long that helps it survive in frigid waters. Fletcher took the DNA that keeps those proteins turned on and running and connected it to a salmon growth hormone gene, which had the effect of keeping the growth hormone on.
Now it's free to run summer and winter if you wish, all year round.
Fletcher inserted the gene into his salmon eggs and waited to see what would happen.
So in the spring of 1990, we saw some big ones. So we said, oh, maybe it's that.
So you could see that these fish were bigger.
Yeah, much bigger than the other ones.
As scientists, seeing that what you're doing is working, what does that feel like?
Well, we were just amazed, right?
Fletcher patented his technology and started a company which eventually became Aquabounty. His invention is still the center of its work. A genetically engineered salmon that grows twice as fast as regular salmon, while actually consuming less feed. The difference is significant. These fish are both about 2 years old.
It's really hard to believe that these salmon are the same age, and there's such a huge size difference between the two of them.
This fish is 5 kilos, ready for market. That fish is a long ways from market.
In the United States, the majority of the salmon consumed is Atlantic salmon, but almost all of it is imported from ocean farms in Norway, Chile, and Canada. That's because in the U.S., wild Atlantic salmon is endangered, so catching it is illegal. Ocean farming is only permitted in a few places, and until recently, there wasn't much interest in expensive land-based production like Aquabounty's.
If you have a fish that grows a little faster, such as an Aquadvantage that reaches market weight in half the time, You can produce those fish almost anywhere because you can grow them in a land-based aquaculture facility closer to consumers, so you can reduce the transportation costs, you can reduce the carbon footprint associated with transportation. So this opens up a whole new opportunity for global salmon production.
Ron Stodish talks of producing Atlantic salmon in places it's never been done before, like Indiana, where Aquabounty has set up its first American facility.
And this is a hot smoked salmon preparation from a roughly 5 kilo Aquadvantage salmon.
He gave me a taste of the product.
It's delicious.
It's very good.
I mean, I think some people might think that this would taste somehow different than non-genetically modified salmon, but it tastes exactly the same.
It's exactly the same.
By 2050, with global population expected to reach almost 10 billion, our food supplies will be under far greater stress. Demand will be 60% higher than it is today, but climate change, urbanization, and soil degradation will have shrunk the availability of arable land, according to the World Economic Forum. Food security is a really serious issue facing all of humanity. In essence, it's about how we feed a growing population at a time of climate change, which is unpredictable and not fully understood. Globally, we are reliant on a very slender thread of genetic diversity. According to the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, currently only 12 crops account for 75% of all human calories, with more than 50% of all human calories coming from just 3 plants: rice, maize, and wheat. If a particular pest or pathogen arises, or a particular vulnerability to changing climates, the entire crop becomes vulnerable because of the lack of genetic variability within it. We've seen this before. In the 1950s, the global banana supply was largely based on a single variety called the Gros Michel. The Panama virus wiped it out because there was a lack of variability within the crop. Because of this vulnerability, most farmers stopped planting the Gros Michel banana. One of the greatest causes of biodiversity loss and therefore extinction is the conversion of forest and woodland into grazing for cattle. A kilogram of beef is about 30 times more demanding on the environment than a kilogram of plant protein. In order for us to have a sustainable future, I suspect that quite a radical change to our diets is needed. One of the pressures is that developing societies are shifting to a meat-based diet. If the populations of India or China were to adopt the same meat-rich diet as America, that would be extremely demanding on global resources. This will present a huge opportunity for companies like Aquabounty that are developing technologies to solve this growing global problem. Aquabounty believes that environmentally responsible, science-based fish farming can change the world, improving human health, positively impacting climate change, conserving natural resources, and protecting our precious marine ecosystem. Aquabounty continuously strives to reduce their reliance on wild forage fish stocks in order to feed their salmon. Research studies have shown that Aquadvantage salmon require 20 to 25% less feed than other farmed Atlantic salmon on the market today, which translate into less fish meal diverted to grow out salmon. Their goal is a fish-in, fish-out ratio of less than 1, which they believe is possible by feeding Aquadvantage salmon with modern feeds in which novel protein ingredients replace fish meal. By producing high-quality, nutritious farm salmon while simultaneously minimizing their carbon footprint is an important element of their overall mission. The majority of farmed salmon is produced in floating sea cages located in coastal areas far from consumers. Conventional farm salmon must be transported thousands of miles by air freight and truck in order to reach the consumer. Aquadvantage salmon will be produced on land, close to consumers, dramatically reducing carbon emissions and adverse environmental impacts normally associated with traditional salmon farming. Land-based salmon production systems deliver additional environmental benefits in the form of reduced pollution of the marine ecosystem, zero harmful interactions with wild species, and much greater control over the culture environment. 95% of the farmed salmon served in the United States is imported. Strict environmental regulations and competition for coastal resources have driven salmon farmers away from the United States. Aquabounty aims to reverse that trend in a way that protects sensitive coastal zones. Aquabounty's innovative Aquadvantage salmon, with its fast growth rate, shortens the production cycle from 28 to 36 months down to 16 to 18 months, transforming land-based salmon farming into an economically viable production model. Land-based salmon farming confines the fish to indoor tanks inside facilities resembling warehouses, eliminating interactions between the farmed fish and the external environment. Now, if we jump over to FinViz and check out the current numbers on Aquabounty, we can see that, well, let's just say that there's room for improvement. Their income is at a negative $13 million, but next year's EPS is expected to grow at 31%. Now, the majority of growth for this company is still coming, but I think the long-term prospects are very appealing, and that's what Ark Invest likes to do, invest in future innovation. And unless something drastically bad happens health-wise with the consumption of this salmon, I think this technology will be the future on how salmon is raised. In fact, Aquabounty is in the process of building a farm that is approximately 10 times bigger than their biggest farm in Indiana, so they expect tons of future growth. Now, Ark Invest has been accumulating Aquabounty in their Genomics Revolution ETF, ticker symbol ARKG. And if we look at the holdings in that fund, Aquabounty is the 36th biggest holding with almost 4 million shares worth over $17.7 million. So they own a pretty decent size of this company's float. And if we go over to the Nasdaq's website, we can see there were a total of 13 insider transactions in the past 12 months on Aquabounty, and every single one was a purchase order totaling over 13 million shares purchased, which represents a good chunk of the overall float. So there is a lot of conviction within the company by management. Okay, so right here we have the current daily chart of Aquabounty Technologies. And as you can see, we've already been in a pretty decent uptrend so far. Back in early May, it was trading under $2 a share, and now we are sitting right around 4.5. If I grab a trend line, touch those tops, and then create that parallel line, put it on the bottom. I like to do this to make the channels jump out a little clearer for me, so you can see this one is in a pretty decently defined uptrend channel so far. And as you can see, we have the growing volume accompanying the move up, which is exactly what you wanted to see if you're looking for a sustained up move in a stock. Let me get this stuff off the chart real quick. And I will show you why I love this long-term chart. Now, if we back out to the weekly chart, we can see Aquabounty IPO'd in early 2017, and it has been trending down ever since. But since 2018, it's pretty much gone sideways till present day. And that is exactly what I love to see in a low-price stock before it has a big move up. This is like the foundation that it has to have in order to have a sustained big up move. Now, if I grab this rectangle here, we can see this consolidation a little clearer, and the big volume starting to come into this stock. And I bet a lot of this is probably Ark Invest, and they're building a position to hold for the long term for when Aquabounty takes off, which I think it's going to. I would like to see Aquabounty pull back just a little bit more. Let me get this stuff off the chart and then zoom back into the daily chart. I would love for Aquabounty to pull back to this area with this 50-day simple moving average, this blue line on the chart. This looks like a great area of support. Even though this is a very nice looking pattern right now, and it looks like it could be possibly breaking out of it, heading higher, I am hopeful that we are going to pull back down to this area. I would love to be a buyer of this stock right around the 350 area. But let me get this off here real quick. But if we break it down to the 15-minute chart, you can see this consolidation looks very constructive that it's in right now. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if it breaks out to the upside. Now, I like to buy stocks on deep pullbacks, so I am hopeful it pulls back down to that 50-period simple moving average. I like to get in as cheap as I possibly can just to have a larger margin of security, I guess, if you will. But sometimes stocks take off without me, unfortunately. And this stock is pretty strong, and if Ark is buying it, it's probably got a bright future. But that is how the charts look to me right now. Like I said, I'd love to be a buyer right here. If it pulls back, we'll have to wait and see if that happens. But as of right now, the long-term chart, it looks really, really good. All right, folks. Well, those are my current thoughts on Aquabounty Technologies. In the comments section, let me know if you have any thoughts. If you're holding this, what are your long-term projections on the company? And also, let me know how you pronounce it. Do you pronounce it salmon or salmon? I've heard it pronounced both ways, but salmon sounds like what they might say if they were living in the Hamptons or something. But anyway, please like the video if you enjoyed it and got something out of it, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching my video, and until next time, take care, everybody.